I'm just hoping you were watching the leader of the free world last night, an obnoxious gobshite called Donald Trump. The cards, you haven't got the cards. Nobody knew what he was talking about. It just was, what he is a third-rate casino owner. The cards. And the other guy that's with him that was wearing more eye makeup than Keith Richards, J.D. Vance, that guy looks like he just crawled out from under a rock. And to make matters worse, he's supposed to be a Catholic. Jeez, that's the best I ever heard. Now, what we say here in Ireland is, you can judge a person by the company they keep. And we know the kind of company that Trump keeps. Jeffrey Epstein, Putin, who has him in his pocket since Trump went to Russia with that beauty pageant, whatever, a few years ago, what happened, we don't know. But since then, he's just a puppet for Putin. Then he hangs around with Netanyahu, who kills Palestinians just to keep himself out of jail. Then the other gobshite, Elon Musk, I'll be talking about him later on. Like, what can you say about these people? What do you mean? Kim Jong, that guy up in North Korea, and like he's looking at God, they're saying, oh, he's a great guy, I'm sending him love letters. This is the type of thing he's talking about. So Trump decides to let out 1,500 criminals, just like that, straight out, let them back out on the street. These are Trump people. And then the world's worst, the two most despicable people that you meet anywhere in the world, the Tate brothers. He gets them out of prison in Romania. Now let me tell you about these two guys. What they do is they rape young, vulnerable women, traffic them as sex slaves. And Trump gets them out of jail and now pretends he doesn't remember getting them out of jail in the first place. And even Ron DeSantis doesn't want them coming in anywhere near Florida, doesn't want to be associated with them at all. And what does that tell you? But what are they? They're the worst pimps you can think of. And as a matter of fact, they should have had a banner called Pimps for Trump. Trump's pimps. That's exactly what they are. So what does that tell you about Trump? You're seeing him and the other heavy, J.D. Vance, vile, vicious villain. And there were two heavies trying to beat down one of the bravest guys on the planet at the moment, Zelensky from the Ukraine. You have Trump. He's in the pocket of the Russians. He should be impeached for treason. I don't know what's happening to the Republican Party. They've completely lost their spine, their backbone. But I have a feeling that there's a few of these boys are going to come out very shortly and disagree with them. And that'll be the start of it. You know the old saying, those that the gods wish to destroy, they first make mad. And Trump, he's on the slippery slope to oblivion. Anybody looking at him there last night knows he's lost the plot. He's like a gobshite. He's like a bouncer in the old days in Dublin on the door looking for somebody's membership card out. Says, if you don't bring a membership, you're not getting in next week. And he's talking down to Zelensky. Now don't forget that Trump has dodged the draft. Zelensky is one of the bravest men around. The other gobshite, J.D. Vance, only a couple of weeks ago was saying that Trump was cultural heroin. He was never a Trump fan. And the two of them showed themselves up last night. And I think the great thing about it is everybody in Ireland could see that they were two total fucking despicable people, Trump and J.D. Vance. And what I'm hoping is that all the people in Ireland, the majority of people in Ireland dislike Trump. They don't even know who J.D. Vance is. He's the guy with the eye makeup. It was very strange for a bloke that's walking around that has an Indian wife and 3 interracial kids, but he says he's a Catholic. But if you've seen him there last night, I don't know where he came from or what he does. But I think what we should do over here in Ireland is, very simply, let the government know that under no circumstances should they be in the White House on St. Patrick's Day. We don't want to give Trump any credence at all. I hope they don't go. If they have to go, that's fair enough. But what we seen last night has never been seen in the history of the world, in the history of television. These are two guys that were going to ambush Zelensky and make him look like a gobshite. Little did he know that that guy goes out every day knowing that he might get shot and he might get killed and he can stand up for himself and do whatever he's got to do. And I seen that Marjorie Greene, her boyfriend, that gobshite who thinks that the Jews have lasers up in space, asking Zelensky why he's not wearing a suit, when everybody knows that Zelensky dresses like that, just to show people that he's that one with all the boys who were out the front. That's the army gear. He's that one with all the guys out fighting, getting killed left, right and centre. And then Trump turned around and said that Zelensky was a dictator and he had invaded Russia. You know, like, you wonder what has happened to the American people that they let this gobshite, this fraudster in there. The guy, like, he's been bankrupt more times than anybody I know. And he's been morally bankrupt since the day he was born, as far as I'm concerned. So here's what we have to do. We've got to show this gobshite that the Irish are disgusted with him, and the best way we can do it, even if our people have to go to the White House, the government has to go, what we should let them know is, and let Trump know is, that 90% of the Irish people would have preferred if they didn't go. So what we're saying is, if they have to go, they have to go. But we want him to know that we don't want them to go. So you got the Tate brothers, you got 1,500 criminals walking around, and God knows what else. And we know that he's in Putin's pocket, and we know that he doesn't mind Palestinian hospitals being blown up left, right and centre. And he had the cheek to turn around to Zelensky and say, if you don't do this deal, you're gone. Does he not know that the Russians could never beat the Ukrainians, like the English could never beat the Irish? Okay, we might only be a small group, but all you need is a few small, dedicated people, and you'll be very surprised what can be achieved. So when Trump says this, that, and the other, if I was Trump, I'd be looking very closely around him, because he sacked, I'll get back to Musk later on, but he actually sacked over 6,000 veterans. Veterans, guys who know how to use guns are losing their job. And they all, every one of them probably voted for Trump. But we'll get back to that. I want to get back to, say, Musk. There's another gobshite. And I'll tell you something, he's a dangerous gobshite. And here's why I'm going to talk about him. He has 11 kids with 3 different women. Now, that's his own business. He's obviously fairly ambitious. But his oldest lad, whose name is Xavier, he transitioned. And she's now called Vivian. And according to Musk, he was tricked into signing the agreement to let his son transition to become his daughter. So he has to disown that child. He won't talk about it. But another big problem that Musk has is that his father hates him, and he hates his father. And they're trying to outdo each other with who can procreate the most. These boys are fairly kinky now. And like, talk about the TV evangelicals, have a look at Daystar. The problem they're having at the moment, where the whole family, they're kinky, has fell out. And they were the second biggest church in the evangelicals, with money left, right and centre. And poor old Marcus that died, he told people not to get the vaccine, and he dies of COVID. How do people believe these people? But anyway, I think Elon Musk and Trump, that they've sacked all these people left, right and centre, hard-working, ordinary, everyday people. I get the impression that at least 3/4 of them are Republicans who voted for Trump. So watch out. Those whom the gods wish to destroy, they first make mad. And Trump is on the slippery slope to oblivion. Now, my name is Brendan Shiels. I was born on the Fisborough Road opposite John Davies. And I've been a Bose fan all my life, proud to be called a gypsy. So here's the way I do it. My name is Brendan Brush Shiels. I'm as Dublin as can be. I was born opposite John Davies on the Fisborough Road. My dad worked in the CIA. I've been a Bose fan all my life, proud to be called a gypsy. And when I go to Daily Mount, it still feels right. It's like coming home to me. So I'm a big fan. So in the Aviva, when there was 33,000 people and Bose beat Shamrock Rovers, I couldn't believe it. It was just one of the great days. But then I'm watching Shamrock Rovers playing the Norwegian team, Molde, there last week. And after Stephen Bradley, the manager of Shamrock Rovers, has been interviewed. And I could see he was going off on a tangent, and he was talking about the assistant manager of the Republican Ireland lady's name. His name is Colin Healy. Now, Colin had some terrible tragedies in his life. And Stephen was saying that he'd lost his mother around the same time, so he knew how badly Colin was feeling, how badly he had been treated. And when Stephen said, like, that I've only lost my mum last week, and then he said, and those guys, they showed, the FAI showed no compassion. Now, once Stephen used the word compassion, he had a friend for life in me. The fact that he mentioned his mother meant that he had me anyway. But compassion is my favourite word of all time. And I think that the meaning of life is compassion. And I think the key to the universe is compassion. And even though whenever Rovers play Bows again, I'll be hoping that Bows beat them. I'll be looking over at that particular lad, Stephen Bradley, and saying, his heart is in the right place. And I'm thinking, like, really, that's what it's all about. Now, I would rather be a raconteur than a cantankerous. And I have this little one-man show I'm going to put together, and that's what it's going to be called. I would rather be a raconteur than a cantankerous. So it goes like this. Like, some people are born lucky. Some people are born blessed. I'm lucky I was born blessed, okay? Some people are born lucky. Some people are born blessed. Those closest to God, the devil attacks first. I was never in any distress. The true saint knows that she or he is definitely not one and never will be. And lesser mortals have a tendency to turn mere mortals into gods. And that's what interests me. You can be under the weather, over the moon, at the end of your head, face the reckoning at the peak of your powers, at your lowest of head, chasing ivory towers in the World Wide Web. Spend the rest of your days in the elephant's graveyard, shake off the praise, buskle like Braveheart, lambs to the slaughter, arms to the poor. Better to be a raconteur than a cantankerous hour. Now, I know a little bit about monks, so I have that in there. The mendicant monk with the mellifluous voice mooted his meliorism as a mode for his milieu. He knew the cock crowed not once, twice, but thrice, and too much of a good thing could kill you. He walked in circles while thinking laterally, and for calligraphy still used the same old quill. And he always tried to keep time alive when he had time to kill. Don't replenish your remorse in a reservoir of regret. Go back to the source, forgive and forget. Don't get down in the dumps in the terrible state. Don't take a run and jump, take a leap of faith. Don't get stuck in a road and let stuck in your gullet. There's no ifs or buts, call the shots or bite the bullet. You might hear yourself quoting from Jude the Obscure, but it's better to be a raconteur than a cantankerous hour. Now, nostalgia overcame me, left me powerless to create. I fought off the waves of sadness, the cavaliers of fate. Someone hyped up my hubris, grist in the mill because I've been to the top of the mountain. Doesn't mean I'm over the hill. Now it's all hands on deck in the ship of fools. There's a lack of respect, disdain for the rules. You're keeping your distance, hugging the shore. All your persistence keep you safe and secure. Take time to think before you think it's time. Pull back from the brink, but don't get back into line. As for Davy Jones Locker, resist the allure. Better be a raconteur than a cantankerous hour. But anyway, you know, I like this band from West Belfast. The rappers that rap os Gaeilge. They're called Kneecap. In Meath, they're called Keepak. But anyway, a long time, a good while ago, Blonde Knee Coffee, Blonde of Nationwide, used to do a program with Derek Mooney called Echo Island. At around the same time, there was SBB in it. He was Sean Bon Brannett. And Blonde had asked me to write an Irish rap. Now, this is before the boys in Kneecap were born. So I wrote this, and I have to think about it because a while since I wrote it, and it's os Gaeilge. Now, bearing in mind that I can't speak in Irish, but I know all these little bits and pieces that when you put them together. So somebody when I was in America years and years ago, and somebody had asked me, like, do you know any Irish? And I'd say, yeah, Will Cad a Gumdal and Marshall Hully. And they say, well, what does that mean? I said, that means you're very beautiful. Very, very beautiful indeed. Will Cadagumdal. Yeah, and they're all going, Will Cadagumdal and Marshall Holy. You're very beautiful indeed. So this particular rap here is kind of, excuse me, is kind of based on my knowledge of the Irish, which is not great. Here we go. So if I forget that, you won't know because you haven't heard it before. So I'll just keep going no matter what happens. Nuair a bhí mé mar leighton de sire, chunig mé aim an devilire, squeal amach an bobalín, agus bhfuil cadagumdal amach, múntá, bhfuil cadagumdal amach. Gama leiscéil, ceart go leabhar, nóscail de bhéile in inchicáir, squeal amach an bobalín, agus bhfuil cadagumdal amach, múntá, bhfuil cadagumdal amach. Is matlam gabo, is matlam bibi, fadó, misha agus Joe Bartley. Sharsha agus Bartley. Bhí na buclaí a gimmert pella le Colleen Awan agus Colleen Inne, squeal amach an bobalín agus bhfuil cadagumdal amach. Shasú, Shigs East, Hánig mé a Rasha Rees, squeal amach an bobalín agus bhfuil cadagumdal amach. Múntá, bhfuil cadagumdal amach. Is matlam gabo, is matlam bibi, fadó, misha agus Joe Duffy. Bhí na buclaí ag immert pella le Colleen Awan agus Colleen Inne, squeal amach an bobalín agus bhfuil cadagumdal amach. Down on doras, down the vinnog, down the veil when you're down the poker, squeal and muck and bobalina, because what can I come to the mark? Kunnastá too. Kunnastá too. Tommy go mark, Kunnastá too. Tommy go mark. Kunnastá too. I know what I thought. It's Moilum Keisha Millish. It's Moilum Kuik Milshan. Banya, good on you. What jail Banya? Good on you. Is matlum gunnerdy an bóhalat. Is matlum the ein hintan like the hintan fan. Kunnastá too. Tommy anna what I thought. Nuair a bhí mé mar leighton de sire, chuna mé sin le devilíre, de squeal amach an bobalín agus bhfuil cadagum, bhfuil cadagum, time to move, go sacramentum, the quest for knowledge and spiritual enlightenment. We go straight Oscalia into the Latin Mass, which is a different discussion altogether. Because I'm as an ex-altar boy, and my brother Freddie was the head altar boy in St. Peter's Church. And for all you altar boys out there who survived, we all have the same thing. Hey Dame Quila Tivigat, Juven Tutum Meum. And I would have prepared the Mass when it was in Latin because I didn't know what it was about. And it sounded great, the mystical end of it. And we'd be all singing, I'm getting off on that, like, man, and this is it. You know, it looks great. Next thing you know, it's gone English. And I'm standing there with the boys, and I don't know what one consubstantial with the Father means. What does consubstantial with the Father? And there was all these big words that none of us knew, and we were all, one by one, we'd head her off, and we never came back. And till this day, when people ask me, why are you a lapsed Catholic? I loved it when I loved it when there was Latin. I didn't know what was going on, but I felt good. And as soon as I figured out what was going on, it's not the same. And you know that song like that Pavarotti does. If you knew that was what that was about, you wouldn't be bothered with it at all. Like, they sound great in Italian, but if you look at the words of that song, you'll be bitterly disappointed. And so if I was you, I'd just listen to it the way it is and kind of get the buzz out of it, because that's what it's all about. It's all about, like, what kind of a buzz you get. Now, this show is supposed to be about, it's called The Quest for Knowledge and Spiritual Enlightenment. Now, about 40 odd years ago, I was very interested in all forms of mysticism. This is where I start to sound very intellectual. And the only reason I can do that is, I really, in my last life, I was 2 or 3 different things. One, I was a monk who succumbed to temptation. The other thing was, I was a shop steward. And there you are, you're in the canteen, And the great shop stewards always started the same thing. I maintain, like, you know, and everybody goes, yes, he's great, like, he's the words there, they've got words, they just, all about words. So, some people like their crosswords simple. Some people like their crosswords cryptic. So, the mystic thing, the mystical, is really, I envy simple faith, and I envy humility. But I got into mysticism, and I read The Ascent of Mount Carmel by St. John of the Cross. And I would have read 3 or 4 books by Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, the head of the Jesuits, the Black Pope. He was an archaeologist who believed that the world was at least 60 million years old. And he wrote books like The Phenomenon of Man and The Divine Milieu. And I would have learned these and studied them with St. Teresa of Avila and St. Teresa of Lisieux and St. Augustine and St. Bernard. And I got into the mysticism in a really big way. And I would have read the Bible. A few times I would have read the Torah, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, and Zen Buddhism. So I would know a little bit about the mystic way of doing it, which would be the cryptic crossword. But I still think the best way to do it is the simple crossword. Now, the next time we get together, I'll get into a lot of that. Now, I'll talk about the different forms of mysticism and the way I developed it to understand things a little bit better. And I'll talk about my own way, physically, of loosening up, which I called the electromagnetic technique. I'm a master in my own technique. Now, that won't be next week, probably the week after that. But next week, we have Brian and Seamus on. And these boys are devotees of, you know, Christianity plus the Catholic Church plus everything. And we'll get to the way of wisdom, the way of knowledge, the way of spirituality. And I'm on my way now. And we'll talk to you again next week when the quest for knowledge. I'll be doing it all during the week. And by the time I get to you next week, I might know a little bit more than I did this week. But anyway, next week, it's Brian and Seamus and myself, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. We're going to have the Trinity next week. I'm looking forward to seeing you all then.